the likely impact of a ruling, if it does in its final form look like what you have reported and published tonight? If we had a Republican-controlled House and a Republican-controlled Senate and a Republican in the White House, is there any line in this ruling, as you read it, that would prevent the legislature and the president from establishing a new law that full-on banned abortion in its entirety in every state in the country in every instance?
Well, it's a draft decision, and it doesn't really get into the issue of what the federal government's power, I think, would be in this area. So I think it certainly leaves that open as a possibility. There might be other obstacles to that, like the legislative filibuster we still have, at least for the time being, in the United States Senate. But, there are points at which Alito tries to suggest that, this won't bring all the scenery down. If we move away from abortion to other privacy-based rights, such as contraception, rights like gay marriage, he does try to ring-fence this opinion and say, all we're talking about is abortion. He mentions that several times, and he suggests that it shouldn't be stretched into other areas. That said, I'm old enough to know that the court many times has said, don't try to apply our opinion on X to this situation Y because it's different, and yet it often does get applied that way. But there's no question he's trying to keep this confined to the issue of abortion.
And of course, that's telling it itself, right? To be willing to say, like, oh, this is just about abortion. It's not about anything important. Don't worry. Tells you a lot about the frame of mind of the frame of mind behind people who would make this kind of a change. Let me just ask you about one last piece of this, Josh. Since we've been on the air, since we received your reporting tonight, since you published, we, on my show, have contacted 4 former clerks for Supreme Court justices, all of whom uniformly told us that the document that you have published tonight appears to be a legitimate work product of the court, meaning it just matches in form and style and texture the kind of product that they as clerks were used to seeing as a draft majority opinion. That highlights in itself, I think, the unique nature of this reporting that you have done and this leak. And I wonder if you have any reflection on what it might mean for the credibility of the court, for the legitimacy of the court, for a draft majority opinion to have made its way into your hands. This is something that has never happened before in the history of the court. And as a court observer and somebody who understands how the court fits into our politics, what sort of impact do you think this will have on the court itself?
Well, there have been leaks out of the court before, perhaps not of this magnitude, but we've all gotten kind of used to, on these big decisions, such as Obamacare, such as this abortion decision, to hints, body English, I might call it. There's a nuanced reading of editorials that appear in different places, places like the Wall Street Journal editorial page, where you can often see indications that maybe the court is moving one way and conservatives aren't happy about it. You do see that kind of dialogue, but never accompanied by an actual opinion. So I do think that this is groundbreaking, and it does take the court into new territory. It would certainly be very interesting to know what Chief Justice John Roberts thinks about this, even if he doesn't agree with this opinion. What does he think about whether this causes the court to be viewed as a political institution by some people? That's what we're going to have to see how it plays out over the next couple of months as this continues to resonate towards the final decision at the end of June.
Right. And the importance of Chief Justice Roberts' opinion on matters like that is not just, what he thinks as a person and how it affects him personally. It's that the court is effectively a self-regulating body that sets its own ethics and standards. And if this is going to sort of shake the foundations of the court and its perception and its role in politics, his opinion will be more important than anybody else's by a considerable margin. Josh Gerstein, senior legal affairs reporter for Politico, you will always, in your entire life, be the reporter who broke this story. Whatever else happens in your life and everything else that you've done in the past, I know this is a really big deal, and I really appreciate you being here tonight with us. Thank you.
Thanks so much, Rachel. Take care.